Good morning,
Good morning,
YouTube.
YouTube. So, as many of you probably know, because of, it's everywhere right now, we're talking about 9/11 again. And the 10th anniversary of 9/11 is coming up this weekend. And me and Brian wanted to do something to kind of, bring light on some of the GLBT people that passed away during 9/11. As a lot of us know, we as GLBT people are not always recognized in times of crisis, in times of joy, in times of Americana. We get forgotten a lot, and I think a lot of the memorials that are going to be going on this weekend are not necessarily going to focus on our little side of the universe. I think that we get missed out on a lot. Our families get forgotten about, and me and Brian decided we'd do a little research on other GLBT people that passed away on 9/11, and it was amazing how many incredible stories that we found. And we wanted to share some of those stories with you today in a way to help remember some of those people who lost their lives in 9/11.
And in any list that we could put together about the GLBT people who died at 9/11, it's only going to be a short list because only a few of those people really may have been able to be known. There might be many, many, many more who died who weren't out or who didn't step forward. So it's important to recognize that there are others who maybe should be on this list who couldn't make it for some reason or other.
And this is a really tiny list. It's only a list that me and Brian kind of put together. And I've been working on it for a day or two, trying to find profiles and stories of people who passed away on 9/11. So it's a very small list of people. And I know there were so many more people on 9/11 that lost their lives. So we don't want to do any disservice to those people we don't mention. And for those people that I haven't heard your story yet or I haven't known you, my thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. And let's go ahead and start our list. Okay, so this last year we were honored to be invited to go see a movie called With You about the Mark Bingham story with his mom Alice and his good friend Todd. And we were blown away by the movie.
And Alice and Todd both were incredible people. We had a great time meeting them.
And we got to see Mark's life, and it was an incredible life. He was a very inspiring person, and it's sad that we never got the opportunity to meet him since he was from pretty much our part of the world. Yeah. So we're going to start off with Mark Bingham, and then we're just going to go ahead and read through some of the people's profiles that moved us and show you some of their pictures. Mark Bingham. All 6 feet 5 inches of him loved a lot of things, food and wine shared with good company, discussions on politics, travel to foreign lands, and laughing with friends. He built his public relations firms into one of the most respected small agencies in America, with offices in San Francisco and New York. Rugby was also a big part of his life. He was a sophomore on Cal State's 1991 national championship team, the squad that started at spring of 11 consecutive national titles. Bingham never strayed from a fight. He played to win, always using the skills he learned in college rugby. September 11th, he used those same skills to protect a nation. As the flight was taken over by terrorists, Bingham and a few other courageous men fought back. The burly Bingham used his cell phone to call his mother and tell her the plane was being hijacked and that he loved her. Moments later, the plane crashed into a Pennsylvania farm field. Transcripts from the flight recorder indicated that the terrorists had intended to crash a plane into the U.S. Capitol building.
Michael Judge, a leader in Dignity, the organization of gay Catholics, a priest, and a chaplain, Judge was killed during the collapse of the towers while giving the last rites to a dying firefighter. The firemen loved him. He had an encyclopedic memory of their family members' names, birthdays, and passions. He frequently gave them whimsical presents. Once, after visiting President Clinton in Washington, he handed out cocktail napkins emblazoned with the presidential seal. He'd managed to stuff dozens of them into his habit before leaving the White House. Back in the early 1980s, Judge was one of the first members of the clergy to minister to the young gay men with AIDS, officiating at their funeral masses and consoling their partners and family members. He opened the doors of St. Francis of Assisi Church when Dignity needed a home for its AIDS ministry, and he later ran an AIDS program at St. Francis. In 2000, he marched in the first gay-inclusive St. Patrick's Day Parade, which his friend Brendan Fay, a gay activist, organized in Queens. Within minutes of the attack on the first tower of the World Trade Center, Father Mike was on the scene. When the tower collapsed, trapping the firefighters, he went through the debris, giving comfort to the dying. As he gave the last rites to one firefighter, the second tower fell on top of him.
The next story is about a gay family that died together, and as you know, me and Brian were deeply moved by this story. Daniel Hurst, 42, and his partner, 33. Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah. Come on. It's hard to read the stories.
Do you want me to read this one?
I got it. Daniel Hurst, 42, and his partner, 33-year-old Ronald Gamboa, were flying home to Los Angeles with their 3-year-old son, David, when terrorists took over the United Airlines jet they were on shortly after it left Boston's Logan Airport. Hurst was a lawyer with Price Waterhouse Coopers in Los Angeles. Gamboa, who was originally from Louisville, Kentucky, managed an LA area Gap store. The couple had recently bought a home in the Hollywood Hills area.
A gay British man also perished on Flight 175. Graham Berkeley, 37, a product management director for software company CompuWare, had been scheduled to fly from his home in Boston to a conference in Los Angeles. On board the other plane which hit the skyscrapers was 41-year-old Jeffrey Coleman, a 41-year-old flight attendant. Sheila Hines, 51, a civilian Army employee who worked as a management analyst, died when a hijacked American Airlines jet slammed into the Pentagon. When rescue workers found Hines' remains, she was wearing a gold band that her life partner Peggy Neff had given her.
It was a lot harder video to make than we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is a very hard video for us to make, partially because it's difficult to remember everything that happened, and I'm sure all of us remember those events very clearly. It's also difficult in that some of the information that's out there on GLBT victims of 9/11 isn't always 100% clear, and I think there's a reason for that. And part of that reason is found in the fact that so many people had to struggle to get survivor benefits afterwards. And not only were they dealing with the grief and loss of what had happened and trying to put their lives back together, but many people had to fight the government to get some of the same benefits that heterosexual surviving partners eventually ended up getting.
And I think the thing that most frustrates me in that is I was reading stories about the lawsuit that 21 surviving spouses, gay and lesbian spouses, came forward to get benefits from the government. Is the money was not from the government. It was from people who donated money to help the survivors of 9/11. Millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars were given to help the survivors. And gay people gave money. Gay people stepped up and gave money to help the survivors. And they gave that money not only to help the straight heterosexual survivors, but gay people. And gay people, gay spouses had to fight to get compensation, from the 9/11 incident.
Right.
And it took basically New York passing a law, a state law, recognizing the spouses of gay and lesbian people who perished to actually get money to the surviving partners.
So, in making this video, the point is not to single out GLBT people as having suffered something extraordinarily more than anybody else has suffered. It's really more so that our stories don't get lost, which sometimes they do. Just as people have to fight for their benefits in order to just be recognized as a partner or a spouse, sometimes people want to wash out the fact that we were there. We were heroes, we were victims, but we were there, and we were a part of that story, and I think it deserves to be told.
So no matter how you spend this weekend, and no matter what your feelings are about 9/11, take a few minutes to think about those that we lost. I know that the gay family really touched me, and I think sometimes when we deal with that type of imagery, or those type of feelings, I have a hard time not relating to that couple and their little kid on an airplane. I've sat many a times on a flight going somewhere with Selena and Daniel, and just being so worried, about their safety and that we get where we're going safely. And I can't even imagine, being there with their son and going through those feelings.
And then something bad really does happen.
So take a few moments this weekend and just remember the people that we lost. All the 9/11 victims, but especially our GLBT people, because sometimes they do get forgotten. Until next time, you two, take care.
Bye, you two.
And I believe that our love found its way through the current as the waves crashed down.